My advice to homeless and renters, especially renters, you are wasting your money on rent. What you need to do is you need to buy a piece of vacant land. And if you have to live in your vehicle on that lot or live in a tent, do that. That's better than paying rent to some landlord and ending up with nothing. I got out of the Navy in 1989. I went to the Philippines, married my wife, basically got back to the United States January 1990. And we rented a house for a year and a half. Didn't really get any further ahead. And then I got an acre from my father. So we moved over to this acre. There's my wife pregnant with our first son. And bought a used house trailer. See that house trailer there, all beat up, and it got damaged in the process of being moved. And I built a garage. I didn't spend a lot of money on it. Basically, I didn't get into a lot of debt. So here's another photo of that. Okay? So you people that are expecting to go out and buy a brand new house or a used house, you're being ridiculous. Buy some land first, so you're not wasting your rent, and put the money that you pay your landlord on rent, use that money to build. So then I got ready to build a house. So I ended up moving the house trailer out of the garage because I wanted to build a house there next to the garage, and it was in the way. And you see this little addition here on the side of the garage? See it here? Okay. That was a stairway. And a toilet over the stairway. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a shower there. And then there was a washer and dryer. So I was working as an electrician apprentice at this point, and I got a job in Grand Rapids. It's 50 miles away, and I was working full-time, making more money than I was here at home. Not a lot of money to be made here at home, so I ended up going 50 miles away, and it was just easier to rent an apartment while I worked down there. So we'd come home on weekends and do our laundry here at home. See, here's the toilet. Okay, so it wasn't really, this is the kitchen. It wasn't really a lot of fun to live in the basement, but we were only here on weekends. And then after a year, I decided to move back home. So we lived in the basement. And I had moved the house trailer out. See, I'd moved the house trailer out as soon as we left the area, and we weren't living up here full time, and I was converting the basement into a living area. So the house trailer's gone. And while I was working in Grand Rapids, Michigan, I was saving up my money, buying lumber, storing it in the garage, and then a few months later, I started the first floor just before winter because I already had all the lumber to do the shell during winter. So this is us. Here's my son, my daughter, and our Rottweiler. I don't know if you can tell. But this is us coming home on weekend. This is the fall. See, the trees don't have any leaves, and the plastic didn't work very well. September had record amount of rain, 9 inches, and the basement got wet. So that was kind of a hassle. But as soon as it cooled off and there was no more rain and it was all snow, we were living in the basement at this point because we had discontinued our rent in Grand Rapids on December. At the end of December, I took vacation from my employer and I started building a house. And this is sometime in January, February. So anyway, after winter, we got to the point where we were like this. Okay, you see the size of the trees here? Okay, you see my wife? This is 2001. Okay, I'm going to pause. Well, wait a minute. All right, just before I show you the actual house, you really don't own anything in America. You basically, anything you own, you have to pay to have. And our property tax is like $1,500 a year. And we got a tax return, so it's not a big issue. But by the end of February, about 10 days, we got to come up with $897 to pay our property taxes, okay? So you're paying for all these services. You probably don't even get anything out of those services. And it seems like no matter what happens to the real estate in the area, they're always assessing your property every year, increasing the assessment so that they can get more money, because the government can't function without your money. I don't know why they just don't print money and give it to the governments. So even if you own your own property, you still have to pay somebody, but it's still better than renting property or an apartment from somebody, okay? Because it's actually, you end up paying less and you have some place that you can call your own, but it's not really your own. I'm sorry, America, you don't own anything, okay? All right, pause. All right, this used to be the kitchen in the basement. See this basement inside measurements, 30 by 30. Outside is 32 by 32. So this used to be a kitchen. This is a sewer. So I pumped up the water into the sewer from the sink. And this is the mechanical room. This was actually the first part that had a roof over it. And there was a stairway here. I took out the stairway. I filled in the wall. And I since put in this cellar door and stairway to get outside. But anyway, this was the room for the stairway to get down from the garage, and I'll show you that. And then we had all of our mechanical here. But I since turned this into a train room. All right, I'm going to pause. All right, there used to be a stairway here going into the basement. But since then, this is my latest addition in the garage. I built some rooms. So there's no more stairway going down to the basement. And if I want to go to the basement without going through the house, I have the cellar here. Cellar door. And I'm currently doing an addition on the house. So this is the garage, the first building that I actually built on my property. And I had the house trailer in the garage, and then I decided I wanted to build a house behind the garage, so I had to move the house trailer out. I pulled it out and set it alongside the garage, and here is the house that I showed you in the photos. I turned the deck into an addition. Technically, this could be a 5-bedroom house when it's all done. So I had got into bees. I had bees out here and currently only have 5 colonies, but I'm going to be expanding soon. So there's my addition right now. It's got snow on it. I'm basically just filling in the area between the house and the garage. Let me pause. All right, coming out of the house. This used to be my garage. This is one room, and I have a storage area up there for bee stuff, but it could be storage for anything. And this is the east end of the garage right here, and I filled in the area between the garage and the house to build a living area. This technically could be a bedroom with a kitchen, and there'd be an exterior door here, and this would be a bathroom. It's going to be a handicap bathroom just in case. You never know what's going to happen to me. But anyway, I'm doing this without borrowing money. What I'm getting at is, rather than putting your money into rent, invest it into your own property, okay? And this right here, this is that garage. I just made the actual garage smaller. Instead of storing 6 vehicles, at one time I had 6 vehicles, but now we currently have 3. So this is basically 2/3 of the garage. Pause. All right, it's really cold outside right now, but we'll get out there. But see, when I have extra money, or even if you use a credit card for a short period of time, if you can get a credit card, you don't have to make payments on, use it when you don't have money, and then you pay it off before the interest accumulates. That's what we did during the winter, because right now things are slow with my electrical business. I've got several houses that aren't ready yet for me to go in and finish. So for me to go ahead, continue what I'm doing, we got a credit card that has 12 months, no interest. And this right here is the other basement. This is the basement with no trains in it. This is the one that I built over the last couple of years. I don't have any heat in here right now, so my water line goes around there, so I'm using it when it gets really, really cold. I'm worried about the water freezing. I use this heater here. But anyway, this could be an additional living quarters for somebody here and upstairs. And I could put a wall and a garage to divide it in half if I wanted to rent this out to somebody, or I want to move in this part and rent out or sell the other part to somebody. So I'm not wasting my money by paying rent. I'm telling you, put your money into your property and you can expand it and make it more valuable. All right, heading outside. The first photos I showed you were the front of my garage with the house trailer underneath the garage, and that's basically where the house trailer was. And I moved it out and I set it over here for a while. And as soon as I got a job in Grand Rapids and then we moved there for a year, I pulled the house trailer out and I made the basement livable, and we were only living there on weekends until a year later when I actually came back home to work on the house full time. And you see the house is a mess right now because I'm doing construction on it. But I see a lot of videos on YouTube of people that hire contractors to build something for them. You guys got to learn how to do it yourself, because there's no better builder than yourself, somebody that actually owns the property. When you're paying somebody money to do something, they really don't have any incentive to do a great job. They got your money and that's all they care about, okay? So this is basically the whole property that I own. I never had a mortgage on it. I did have a line of credit and it's currently at $14,000. I'll get that paid off. You see all those trains I have in my basement? That's worth $30,000. If I can't make a payment on a line of credit, I could sell a train or something. But anyway, my line of credit was for my electrical business. I've never actually taken a mortgage on my house to build it. I spent a lot of money on honeybees over the last few years, trying to make a go at that, and I'm going to be continuing that. I've got 5 good colonies here. I just checked them the other day. It's too cold now, but I learned lessons here. Don't make a colony small. You think you're going to sell colonies to commercial beekeepers, and you don't. You end up with small colonies. You can't get through winter. So I'm going to give up on selling honeybee colonies and concentrate on making honey. And I'm going to go into winter with large colonies and stop making so many during the summer. Okay, so let me pause. Even though the property taxes on our property are a lot of money, and my wife and I don't make a lot of money. After taxes, my wife brings home $20,000, and I don't know what she does with all of it. And I make basically nothing with my electrical business. I try not to make a profit, and I put all my money into my bee business, so I'm not making any money. Things are slow. Young people don't have money to build a house. I basically do work for the older people, and it's not that frequent. So I'm glad I did what I did when things were cheaper. I know things are more expensive for young people, but my God, if you're paying rent somewhere, you're not getting anywhere. Buy some land somewhere. And if you have to live in your vehicle or get a tent. When I was in Boy Scouts, in order to get the polar bear badge, we had to spend a night outside in February in Michigan. Really, really cold. So I know all about being in cold, okay? I'm a contractor, electrical contractor. I work out in the cold. I know about that, all right? And I have Siberian Huskies, and I like to go outside during the winter with my dogs and go up and down the railroad grade with a sled. So I'm aware of that. Sometimes you have to suffer to get ahead. If you're homeless, you know about suffering. But before you get homeless, I'm just telling you, don't waste your money on a mortgage on a house you can't afford. Start small, buy some land, buy a used house trailer. If the government won't let you have a house trailer, live in your vehicle, live in a tent on your property until you can build something. Build a garage. Don't tell them you're going to live in it, okay? I know all about the government. There's certain townships in my area, they won't let you have a house trailer because it lowers their property taxes, okay? They don't get as much money from you. Build something. Even if you had a garage, you could live in it, okay? And if you got to take a shit outside, take a shit outside. Oh my God, me and my wife, when we first moved here, we didn't have electricity for 2 months. And we took a shit outside near a tree, a shit and a piss near a tree, okay? We lived without electricity for 2 months. How many Americans can live without electricity for 2 months? All right? Really, you guys, stop your whining and not being able to afford a house and think about all the different ways that you could you can acquire something that's yours rather than paying rent to somebody, okay? BlackRock owns a lot of houses. Rich people want to own all the houses, and they want you to pay rent to them. They don't want you to own anything. You have to be smarter than they are, okay? Thank you.